An old Iditarod cliche is that the race doesn't start until you hit the western coast, and that's ringing pretty true once again this year as the top three have solidified themselves with the chase pack right on their tail. And here in Unalakleet, the strategy becomes much more crucial. Checking out the checkpoint earlier today, we saw a number of sleds that were dropped off here where mushers will be swapping those out for a little bit lighter of a sled, picking up some speed on that sea ice. While here in Unalakleet, you may also see mushers return dogs strategically, kind of finding their best 8, 9, 10 dogs to make that run to the finish line. Now, here are a couple notes from that top three. Holmes did make a stop to rest in between Caltag 2 and Unalakleet, so he may go through this checkpoint and camp out on the other side, which also goes the same for Hall, while Paige Drobny looking like she's going to make this 80-mile trek to Unalakleet without rest, so we may see her and the squids, as she likes to call them with Squid Acres Kennel, see them resting here in Unalakleet. But of course, we don't know anything about this until they arrive, so be sure to keep tuning in. We will have them arriving in the late edition, hopefully get a little bit of sound from them as well, but we'll be sure to see those three in by the late edition if all goes well. Back to you, Beth, in Anchorage in this beautiful Unalakleet. Man, this is awesome. We'll see you soon in late edition.
Thanks very much, Jordan. All right, not at the front, but toward it is veteran Nic Petit. Here he is arriving at Caltag with 14 dogs in harness. I should say Caltag 2, still there as of a little after 5 o'clock tonight. Now, his run from Eagle Island taking a little less than 9 hours, but the mileage starting about 20 miles out from that checkpoint, meaning a 90-mile straight effort for Nic Petit. Take a listen.
But look at resting in the sun. Yeah, at some point I got to put myself at the right time of the day, and no time like right here, because then I can do another long rest and another long run. They eat better when I do long runs, so now they're eating.
Different strokes for different folks, as they say. We'll get to our leaderboard momentarily, but let's talk about scratches this year. Iditarod rookie Brenda Mackey technically scratched last week, the first of more than a half dozen so far this race. But as Quinn White reports, there's been conflicting information on what exactly happened.
Winning each of these races,
I literally thought she was dying in front of me.
Iditarod officials originally reported musher Brenda Mackey scratched in Tanana with 14 healthy dogs in harness. But Mackey and now the Iditarod say that's not accurate. One of those dogs was in her sled and not healthy.
And I needed some help.
Mackey says she pushed the emergency button after one of her dogs, Jet, collapsed on the way to Ruby.
In all my racing years, it's not something I've ever even looked at, and I pushed it. I pushed it like 5 times.
But officials didn't come. She decided to turn around and head back to Tanana.
By the time I get back, her eyes look normal. She was able to stand, and I don't think it was really taken very seriously because she did look good when she got back to the checkpoint.
Mackey assumed her team's Iditarod run was over after using her emergency button.
I didn't even consider myself scratched. I thought I was disqualified for pushing my button on my tracker when I was trying to get help for my dog out on the trail, and so I just assumed when I came back to the checkpoint that I had been disqualified.
Mackey says she thought she was signing forms saying she was disqualified for using her emergency button, but instead she says it was a form to scratch.
I had mentioned I had pushed my button, and he said, well, we hadn't received any signal of that.
The Iditarod Trail Committee says that's because she didn't activate it correctly.
You know, I had this awful thing happen to my dog, and there was that, but then the aftermath of kind of the strange things like that afterwards kind of, you know, they do bother a person a little bit, yeah.
Mackey ultimately made the decision to fly Jet to Anchorage for further veterinary care. She says the dog's lab work shows abnormalities, and she's waiting for more test results. Quinn White, Alaska's news source.
The ITC sent out a prepared statement last week about Mackey's departure, but didn't respond to a request for an interview made by Alaska's news source today. Let's talk about the team still in this, though. This is the live tracker on Iditarod.com, which you can access with an Iditarod Insider subscription. The top 5 in this race now out of Caltag 2. You can see that on here right now. Mitch Seavey also moving out of there. The back of the pack is still on the special loop this year with Quince Mountain currently resting in Grayling 1.